Aw man, this is seriously bad. In the midst of this heavy snow, for some reason, she's wearing a miniskirt with bare legs and high-heeled boots. Her hair is long, a light brown, almost blonde, and loosely curled. She's like the perfect example of a gal. What is there a gal here of all places? The situation was so unnatural that I was at a loss for words. My name is Jason. I work as a system engineer for a company. As the name suggests, a system engineer manages and maintains the web systems used by the company. Sometimes, I have to work at night, outside of regular business hours, to make adjustments. If there's a problem, I could be called in, day or night, and it's not unusual to be on standby all day just in case something happens. It's a pretty tough job. Hey, can you come right now? The lines are totally down, and we can't get any work done. It was the weekend, and I was off that day. However, in the evening, my boss, Mitch, called me in. Mitch is a self-centered guy who bosses people around as he sees fit. He seems to think that as long as he's okay, that's all that matters. Even though I finally had a day off, I ended up having to go in for Mitch's weekend work. Due to the cold wave since yesterday, the weather this weekend was unfortunate. I drove to the office since I didn't know what time it would end. Eventually, it was close to 9 p.m. when we finished. Outside, it was heavily snowing, and the snow had already piled up, with hardly anyone around. You have a car, right? Give me a ride. Mitch, who had finished getting ready before me, said that as if it were obvious. According to the online news, the trains were all delayed, and the stations were overflowing with people. Mitch's house is in the opposite direction from mine, but in this situation, I probably wouldn't be able to go home without giving him a ride. Reluctantly, I decided to drive him home. But I was too optimistic. When we went outside, the snow was nearly knee-deep, and there was a wind like a hurricane. Also, perhaps due to the wind direction, there was a pile of snow near the entrance of the parking lot. The lack of other cars might be a factor. In a panic, I went back to the office and took 2 shovels, Wellingtons, and rubber gloves from the janitor's locker. First, I have to shovel the snow to get the car out. Mitch, can you help me out here? Me. Why? It's your car, you do it. It's my car, but I can't drive you home like this. Saying that, Mitch reluctantly picked up a shovel and began to move the snow little by little, without much enthusiasm. The snow kept piling up as soon as we cleared it. Due to the extreme cold and wetness, we silently shoveled away until we cleared enough space for the car, but Mitch didn't even bother to put away the tools and quickly got into the car. He even had the audacity to start the engine and turn on the heater. I sighed and put them away for both of us. I left the wet tools propped against a nearby wall to dry. When I got back to the car, Mitch was glaring at me, saying, "You're slow, you slug." At this point, his self-centeredness was almost refreshing. However, just as we were about to finally get in the car and leave, we heard a sound. It sounded like a car horn. What's that? Is something wrong? Maybe someone needs help. Forget it. More snow is piling up. I'm done with shoveling. Mitch insisted on leaving, but the horn kept going off. I just can't help but be curious. But there's no one else around, right? What if someone really needs help? Thinking that no one would come to help in such a situation, I couldn't stay put and went back outside the car. Inside, Mitch was yelling, "I'm not helping. Do whatever you want." But I grabbed the shovel, Wellingtons, and rubber gloves I had left out to dry and dashed into the heavy snow. Following the sound of the alarm, I eventually find a car half buried in snow. It's parked in an open lot and is in a terrible state. And standing nearby is a young woman. In this heavy snow, she's inexplicably wearing a miniskirt with bare legs and high-heeled boots. Her hair is long, a light brown, almost blonde, and loosely curled. She looks like the perfect example of a gal. Aw man, this is seriously bad. The gal is putting her hands in her pockets and checking the contents of her bag over and over. What's wrong? The car won't open. It looks like I lost my key or something. It's really bad, right? Wait, if you don't have the key, the car won't move, right? Probably, the car's security system was triggered when she tried to open the door without the key, causing the alarm to go off. Not understanding this, or maybe because she's panicking, she keeps trying to open the door, and the alarm won't stop. For now, I tell the gal not to touch the door and think about what to do. In the snow, it's impossible to look for the key, and with the car so buried, shoveling it out will take a lot of time. When I ask where she needs to go, it turns out it's near Mitch's house. Since she can come to pick up her car tomorrow, I decide to give her a ride in my car. While walking back to my car, I chat a bit with the woman. Her name is Ashley. Her grandfather, who is in the hospital, is not in life-threatening condition, but she got a call saying he wasn't feeling well and rushed over in the heavy snow. Her grandmother and mother are busy with work, so she often helps out with her grandfather's care and household chores. She's also interested in caregiving and is studying to become a care manager. I was really doted on by my grandpa, and since my grandma and mom are working, it's just natural for me to help out, she says casually, without bragging about something quite extraordinary. Judging by her appearance and the way she talks, I had assumed she was frivolous and feel guilty about it. Really, that's impressive. Sorry, I just looked at your appearance and thought you were just some gal. I honestly say that and apologize for my misunderstanding. For real, that's crazy, but everyone thinks that, so it's fine. I'm a gal after all. She laughs off brightly. More importantly, I'm going to post this on social media, so take a picture of me. She starts taking pictures with the heavy snow in the background. Let's take one together as a memory. I'll cover your face. She includes me in the picture. She immediately edits the photo and posts it on social media with the caption, "This snow is crazy." I'm relatively young myself, but I wouldn't think to do something like that. I haven't had many opportunities to interact with someone like Ashley, but it's refreshing and quite interesting. You're so slow. What were you doing? The snow must have piled up again. When I return to my car, Mitch is furious, having to wait. Moreover, the entrance of the parking lot is starting to get buried in snow again. I admit we're late, but his attitude is unacceptable. Still sitting in the car, demanding me to hurry up and clear the snow, Ashley sees right through Mitch and says, "What's with this old guy? If he wants it done faster, he should help too." Who is this silly girl? I'm a department head, his boss. I don't care, you're not my boss. Maybe you should quit a company with such a boss. Want to come work at my grandma's company? Ashley rebukes Mitch sharply while helping with the snow shoveling. Their back and forth is almost like a comedy duo, and it lightens the mood. I say, "Wow, your grandma is a president. That's impressive." "Right. I may not look like it, but I'm a princess," Ashley jokes. Then Mitch got mad at me again. "Just do it. Hurry up." While repeating this process, I somehow finish shoveling the snow and drive them, calming the two who are still bantering in the car. After that, Mitch starts to see me as someone who can handle troublesome people effectively. A few days later, when the snow had completely melted, Mitch calls me in. This time, it's during regular business hours. Thinking it might be another system issue, I head over, only to be told, "There's a complaint from a major client. Handle it." Why me, an engineer? Then, bringing up Ashley, he says, "You're good with difficult people, right? Just handle them like you did with that girl the other day," making an unreasonable request. Even though I argue that this situation is different, I'm somehow persuaded and end up going to the client with Mitch. The client is a company we do a lot of business with. Today, President Thompson, the head of the company, will handle the matter personally. I hear that President Thompson is a tough and renowned woman in her 60s. Feeling nervous, I'm led to the reception room. When President Thompson arrives, she looks at me and says, I've seen you somewhere, but I have no recollection of her. Still, she seems intrigued and examines my face closely. Well, today I brought Jason, our customer relations specialist," says Mitch, making up a non-existent department name and intending to leave everything to me, an engineer. Moreover, the complaint is about a sales-related issue, completely unrelated to me, and I have no idea what's going on. As I'm wondering what to do, President Thompson suddenly says, "I remember," and shows me her phone. There's a photo of me and Ashley on it. "The other day, in the snow, my granddaughter sent this to me. This is you, right? Your granddaughter?" "Yes," called Ashley. Turns out, Ashley is President Thompson's granddaughter. Since her childhood, Ashley, interested in fashion and hairstyles, used to wear and create her own unique styles, often attracting attention from her peers in school for her distinctive ideas. Starting around middle school, she embraced the gal style, drawing even colder judgment from society, often judged solely by her appearance without anyone bothering to understand her. However, on the day she met me, she happily told her grandmother, "I met such a nice guy. He helped me with shoveling snow and even gave me a ride home when I was in trouble. It's the first time someone outside my family has been so kind." She was thrilled and sent our photo to President Thompson. She always looks out for her grandpa and is a great kid aiming to be a care manager, but it's a shame she's not understood due to her hobbies and preferences, sighs President Thompson. At first, I thought, why is she dressed like that? But she hasn't changed since she was little. I was embarrassed to have thought that about my granddaughter. You're the first to really see her for who she is. She seemed so happy. I want to thank you for that. Really, thank you. She expresses her gratitude. Then, glaring at Mitch, she says, "And I heard from Ashley that you're an engineer. The original person in charge should be Mitch here, right?" Seeing right through him. It seems she has always had a lack of trust in Mitch's casual approach. Meanwhile, Mitch turns pale upon hearing what President Thompson had to say. He must be regretting speaking ill of the president's granddaughter. Then, Mitch's phone rings. It's a call from the company, and Mitch's complexion worsens even more upon answering. Apparently, a video that seems to feature Mitch has been posted on social media. The video, uploaded from Ashley's account, shows the interior of my car on that snowy day. Though the faces are hidden, it's clear that it's from when I was driving Mitch and Ashley. What's up with this gal? What a waste of time helping someone like her. I'd like to see what her parents look like. Such a foolish girl. Mitch is caught on video hurling insults at me and Ashley. The comments are overwhelmingly critical, saying things like, "That's awful. I wouldn't want a boss like that," and it's become a hot topic on social media. A colleague who was checking social media for work found this video and recognized Mitch's voice, suit, and attitude. The office is abuzz with this rumor. You always blame others when things go wrong. As someone in a position of authority, you should take responsibility for your actions. I'll tell Ashley to delete the video, so make sure you apologize properly. Upon hearing this, President Thompson advised Mitch, who trembled and nodded repeatedly. When President Thompson contacts Ashley, she gets frustrated immediately. Upon being told about the social media post, Ashley says, That one. I just deleted it. I was a bit annoyed when I posted it, but maybe it was rash," showing signs of regret. "Right now, the person in question is right in front of me. I'll hand over the phone so you can talk," she says, offering the phone to Mitch. Mitch hesitantly takes the phone and starts speaking. "I went too far, and I'm sorry. I judged you without knowing anything about you, just based on your appearance. It's okay, really. Everyone does that, but with that kind of attitude, you'll be disliked by people like that guy or those you work with. You're a big shot, right? You've got to value people," Ashley says, forgiving him with a laugh while sounding wise beyond her years. Afterward, Mitch apologizes repeatedly. I have newfound respect and gratitude for Ashley, who, despite her youth, has such a forgiving heart. It's not about looks or age, but caring for others and having empathy that's important. These qualities help us understand and respond to someone else's pain or discomfort. In this case, it was about Ashley taking down the post she had initially uploaded. Realizing the need to remove it before being pointed out must have been out of consideration for the other person. Now that you understand, bring an improved plan by next week. Mitch, you'll do it, says President Thompson. Mitch nods solemnly. Afterward, Mitch continued to come to work as usual, but after a while, he submitted a transfer request and moved to another branch. Although it's not confirmed, it's widely believed within the company that he was the one in the video, and he was heavily criticized in the comments, making him uncomfortable. He was much quieter than usual, but it must have been awkward for him. At his new branch, I hope he always remembers Ashley's words. As for me, I'm still busy as a system engineer, but I occasionally see Ashley. She was still a gal for a while, but one day she suddenly decided to quit being a gal, changing both her appearance and the way she spoke. I thought being a gal was my thing, but I don't want to worry Grandma forever. Besides, there are people who see me for who I am, like you, Ashley said, radiating a different kind of confidence and beauty than when she was a gal. Perhaps it's the beauty of her inner self showing through. Now, she seems to be living a fulfilling life as a care manager. I want to always remember not to judge by appearances or age. This is a story from a while back. Back when I was younger. At that time, the riverbanks in this area were overflowing with bashers. As I passed by the river on my way home from work, I would always see them, but all I did was walk past them every day. Though it bothered me, I never really did anything about them. Or maybe it's more accurate to say I chose not to. I guess everyone felt the same way. If someone had reached out, maybe their lives could have been changed. But no one did anything. And I was no different from everyone else. Then, one day, I noticed a homeless woman in a basher along the river, someone I'd never seen before. The reason I noticed her among so many others was that she was knitting. Amidst the cardboard homes, the area was filled with cans and newspapers, seemingly collected from outside. However, in her case, there were also several skeins of yarn, seemingly well organized. Morning and night, whenever I saw her, she was always knitting something. The things in her hands turned into scarves, sweaters, and various other items, always using green yarn. One time, as I passed by, I glanced sideways and noticed she was using a variety of knitting techniques. It's amazing how she could create so many designs with just one color of yarn. It was truly impressive. Having worked at a fashion magazine for many years, I had never seen such original knitting techniques. Then, on one night on my way home from work, I saw her unraveling a sweater she had painstakingly knitted, turning it back into mere yarn. What a waste! After noticing this, I observed more closely and saw that items nearly finished at night were all unraveled by the next morning. Maybe she didn't have any other yarn. She kept knitting and then unraveling the same yarn. Ever since I realized this repetition, I felt a sense of regret. I wanted to somehow preserve at least one of her knitted creations. But what should I do? Before I knew it, I was constantly thinking about her. Hey, John, what's up with you? Could it be a case of love sickness? I was lost in thought when my colleague, Troy, teased me. Well, I don't know. If you can't outright deny it, then it must be love. Troy loved these kinds of conversations and looked quite amused. I had never thought about love, but maybe I was indeed enamored with her knitting skills. While I was pondering this, Troy, perhaps misunderstanding something, said with a grin, "Christmas is just around the corner. Why not ask her out on a date? We're not exactly in that kind of relationship." Even though I responded that way, Troy playfully nudged me, saying, "Good luck." and seemed to be having a good time. Really, what a handful. But thanks to Troy, I remembered that Christmas was coming up and came up with an excuse to talk to her. I really wanted to ask her to knit something. That night, I gathered my courage and went straight to where the woman was. She was knitting again today. "Excuse me, hello." "Oh, are you talking to me?" She seemed surprised to be approached by a passerby. Looking cautious, she stared intently at me. I continued in as calm a voice as possible, hoping to ease her wariness. "Yes, you. I've always seen you knitting and thought I'd like to ask you to knit something for me." "Really?" I pulled out a skein of yarn I had just bought from a paper bag. "Could you knit a sweater with this?" She shook her head vehemently and stepped back. "I couldn't possibly do that. Besides, I live like this. I've been watching you from a distance and was impressed by your skills. Of course, I'll pay you. I can pay you in advance. Would you consider doing it?" She hesitated for a bit but then nodded her head in agreement, albeit with confusion. "Okay, I'll do it." From then on, she began knitting the sweater I had requested. Seeing her during my commutes, I started greeting her every morning and evening. When I asked her name, she said it was Katie. "Well, that's amazing. You've made so much progress in just one day. Thank you." I had always admired her work from a distance, but up close, it was truly impressive. I was fascinated to see the yarn taking shape a little more each day. Whenever I praised her, she would look a bit apologetic. "Are you sure someone like me is allowed to be making something for you to wear?" "Absolutely." I reassured her of her talent every time she seemed hesitant. As we talked a bit more each day, she began to share her story. Katie grew up in an orphanage, having no parents since she was very young. Desperate to be independent, she worked hard from her student days, but her jobs never lasted. After moving from job to job, she recently lost her contract at her last company and couldn't find another, eventually ran out of money and ended up here. "All I can do is knit. I couldn't keep any job for long, but knitting, which I learned as a child, is something I've always continued. I once dreamed of having my own shop filled with my knitting." She smiled faintly. Her skills and sense of design were extraordinary. It's rare to find someone with such talent. It would be such a waste if Katie's work was never shown to the world. A society where someone as skilled as her ends up homeless just shouldn't exist. I felt that strongly. And so, she continued to knit the sweater earnestly. And a few days later, "It's finished." The beautifully designed sweater was finally complete. "Wonderful, thank you so much." Expressing my gratitude, she smiled happily. Wearing the sweater to work the next day, it received a lot of compliments. "Wow, what a lovely sweater." All my colleagues praised it. Troy, in particular, seemed to really like it. "Great taste. Which brand is it?" "Well, it was made by a freelance designer who's not yet known to the world. I'd love to meet someone who can create such beautiful designs. It would be interesting to work with her." "That's an idea. I'll talk to her about it." Eager to showcase her talent to the world, I mentioned this opportunity to her after work. "Actually, I work at a publishing house for a fashion magazine. My colleagues really like this sweater and want to meet you. Would you like to visit our editorial department?" She nodded happily, but then her expression turned somber. "Thank you for the kind invitation, but I live like this, and my clothes are all tattered." Indeed, she always wore the same clothes. I knew her background, but it was true that people who didn't know her might judge her appearance. "If you're okay with it, would you like to come to my place? My sister is visiting this weekend. I'll provide a change of clothes and you can take a shower." "That's too much. I couldn't possibly." "Oh, could you teach my sister how to knit? She wants to knit a scarf for her boyfriend, but first, please come to my house." "Okay." So, the following weekend, I invited Katie over to coincide with my sister, Emily's visit. I offered her a shower and I bought her some simple clothes as a gift. When I presented it to her, she shook her head again. It's too much to accept these clothes. I'm happy just borrowing them. No, please, don't hesitate to take them. And it would be great if you could teach me how to knit. Reluctantly, she accepted after my sister's insistence. After her bath, Katie, all cleaned up, looked very beautiful. Then I decided to take her to my company. This is the designer who made my sweater. I introduced her and explained her situation to the gathered employees in the meeting room, but they looked skeptical. I thought she was from some brand. I was expecting someone more impressive. Katie, sensing the whispers and the atmosphere, opened her mouth. I should leave. Sorry for the intrusion. I hurried after her as she quickly left the meeting room. Katie, wait, please. I knew I didn't belong here. Tears streaming down her face, she crouched down. It's not like that at all. I'm sorry for forcing you into this situation. I had brought her here, pushing her beyond her comfort zone. All I could do was apologize as she cried quietly. I thought everyone would understand if I explained the reason, but perhaps that was a naive notion. I intended to be supportive of her, but maybe I was just assuming I understood her situation. After she left the office, I returned to the meeting room. Then, my colleague and the department head, Tom, confronted me. Who was that woman you brought? What were you thinking? We can't work with someone we barely know. Tom was especially upset, completely reversing his praise for the sweater she made. Was this the harsh reality? Once homeless, it becomes difficult to re-enter society and work. Despite her hard work and exceptional skills, she couldn't even get a chance to showcase them. Knowing Katie's talents and character only made it more frustrating. The next day, on my way to work, I saw her by the river, still knitting despite everything. Her conviction was strong. Inspired by her, I made a big decision. Katie, would you like to start a fashion brand with me? Really? Just like the first time I approached her, she looked stunned. I'm going to quit my current job and start a new company, where I want to welcome you as the designer. Katie's expression shifted from surprise to seriousness, and after thinking for a while, she slowly shook her head. Won't you regret leaving your current job, John? And I'm not confident enough to be a designer. I firmly denied her doubts. To be honest, I want to start this company because I want you to succeed, but I don't want to pressure you if it eases the burden. We can hire other designers, so you can work as part of a team. I will never regret my decision. I was genuinely captivated by Katie's skills. As a craftsman, I wanted to work alongside her. I felt strongly about this. Why are you so insistent on me? There must be other talented people, right? I've never seen anyone who can create such beautiful designs so meticulously and quickly like you. That's why I want to build a team around you, Katie. Perhaps moved by my heartfelt words, Katie let out a tear. Okay, I will do it. Thank you so much. I firmly shook the hand she extended. Soon after, I resigned from the publishing house. Are you out of your mind? You could have had a secure job until retirement here. My boss said, almost in disbelief. It's okay, just watch what happens next. On the day of my resignation, everyone at the company was either shocked or dismayed, but my subordinate Troy was the only one who supported me. She's the one, right? The person you mentioned, the one you have feelings for, not just as a woman, but you also admire her skills. You got me, Troy. I'm totally smitten with her, both for her charm and her incredible talent. I knew it. Troy smiled as usual and handed me some documents. What's this? It's a present for your new journey. I graduated from a fashion school, so I have a lot of designer friends. I thought they might be able to help, so I talked to them about you. Some were interested and asked me to pass their contacts to you. Also, I spoke to a friend who works at a TV station. Troy was truly a thoughtful colleague to the end. Thank you. You're the only one who would do something like this for me." He blushed slightly as he laughed. Months later, I successfully launched the company and hired 3 designers from the contacts Troy gave me. Then, a DV station Troy had contacted, asked to interview us. Until recently, I was homeless, but now, I work as a designer in this company. I'm very grateful to the president, Mr. Smith, for giving me this opportunity." Katie confidently responded to the interviewer. After the broadcast, we received numerous interview requests from various media outlets. Initially, we gained attention as a fashion brand started by a former homeless designer, but soon everyone was captivated by the beautiful designs. Katie's unique skills were praised by other designers, and our company rapidly grew into a well-known name in the fashion industry. Various fashion magazines started featuring our brand. And then finally, "John, would you mind featuring in our magazine?" An offer came from the fashion magazine I used to work for. The caller was Tom, who had been harshly critical before. "I'm sorry about what happened before. I deeply regret my rude words. There's no one in the industry now who doesn't know about your brand. We've realized how incredible it is. Please, will you feature in our magazine?" This was the first time I saw Tom so polite. Yes, of course. The article was published, and it marked the beginning of our brand being recognized as a staple in the industry. "I'm very grateful to you, Mr. Smith. Meeting you changed my life. Could you please stop calling me Mr. Smith now?" "Oh, yes. We both are living a happy life, both personally and professionally. I truly feel fortunate to have believed in her and her talents."